Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmitz_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmitz.
Welcome to it. Let's get to you. It's Friday. It's Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Plenty of Super Bowl thoughts. Of course, we'll have Super Bowl 55 here on ESPN Lincoln. Some of your affiliates with Hail Varsity Radio. Also, we'll have Westwood One coverage. Can't wait for that. Round 5 between Mahomes and Brady. We'll talk some Super Bowl and plenty of Nebraska football. Ron Brown coming up in 20 minutes. Longtime Nebraska assistant, former director of player personnel. So Coach Brown in about 20 minutes or so. In hour 2, the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman. No doubt we'll have some thoughts on the Frost presser yesterday. And, of course, some Super Bowl takes. Bill Doleman, the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. In an hour, I got to talk to him to see if he was part of the Bruce Springsteen Jeep commercial in Hastings or not, or if he was doing a Denver mattress shoot that day Bruce Springsteen came back to Bill Doleman's native state.
We should say rumored Jeep commercial. It's not officially confirmed.
Maybe he just wanted a piece of pie or cake and coffee, cup of coffee in Hastings.
Hastings is I can't say that. It's
an affiliate.
Yeah, just say maybe he just wants to see the beautiful central Nebraska.
Maybe he wants to just truck down Osborne Expressway. Right?
Maybe.
we did a ball game in Hastings. God, how long ago was that? I don't know. Junior played in Hastings. Mm-hmm. They're still working on that statue of the most legendary three-point shooter in Hastings, Ben Bolte. Led the world in attempts one season.
Really?
Just ask him.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll talk to Bill Doleman, and then longtime former Chief and Husker standout. We'll get some thoughts on the Chiefs and also the Bucks matchup. Eric Warfield going to be with us in hour 2. The mother of all steak and beer bets will happen following our conversation with Eric Warfield. Are you ready, Elijah Herbal?
Oh, I've got rebound to the Celtics. Kevin Garnett over on points. Kevin Garnett over on rebounds.
So you're just gonna go, the mother of all parlays on me.
Yeah,
here.
I'm just going uncut gems on you, son.
Well, that leads us into a Happy Gilmore moment because Dustin Johnson went full Happy Gilmore, and this does relate to what we'll get into with Nebraska's reconfigured Big Ten schedule. But this was hilarious. This was in Saudi Arabia, over in Dubai. And Dustin Johnson, he's accurate.
And if he's going to miss it left because the flag is right.
Right leg nearly came up off the ground there. Went after that. Oh!
Shouldn't have been standing there.
You've got him on the padding. He's getting up quick. You can take away the pain, but you can't take away the swelling.
Let me hear that. Pain and swelling. How do you take pain away and not the swelling?
You can take away the pain, but you can't take away the swelling.
Okay, this is the perfect segue into discussing 2021's football schedule.
Oh.
Pain and swelling, right? And you look at Nebraska. Whew. Now, things are reconfigured, right? But this really boils down to how do you start and how do you finish, right? And then, what type of sandwich or lunch meat is in the middle? Is it a spoiled egg salad? Is it wonderful roast beef? Are you a roasted turkey guy or gal? Listen, things are reconfigured, and what I can say about this is Purdue comes to Lincoln. Nice. You're not going to Purdue for 3 years in a row. Wisconsin not asked to come to Lincoln for a third consecutive year, although last year was canceled. So Nebraska is in Madtown before they get Black Friday in Lincoln with Iowa. That's been fixed. Thank God. The Shermanator way back when, thought it'd be a great idea to play P.J. Fleck in Minnesota on Black Friday for a stretch. That has been corrected. Minnesota will end with Wisconsin for Paul Bunyan's Axe. Nebraska and Iowa will hook up again on Black Friday. They got to do that due to the COVID last year. This year it will end the regular season. And just the feedback from Nebraska fans, they're bracing themselves for some pain and some swelling potentially.
Oh, pain.
With this schedule. So listen, we don't know what's going to happen. I would put my money, your money, and Elijah's money that there's no Ireland roadie. This is how Cranak's going to spend the hour tomorrow morning. Lobbying for a trip to Ireland. He's been there before. He's well renowned. He wants to go back. He wants to do a show from Ireland. So do I. I don't think that'll happen. So there's still some discussion whether or not you keep the week 0 set up if you do not go to Ireland. Do you have the regular first part of September start? I don't know. A couple of buys are configured in for Nebraska, middle of October, which isn't a bad thing. And then you get that first buy, theoretically, after the Illinois game. You'd have a couple of weeks off before you hook up with Lance Leipold and a really good Buffalo team before you head to Norman, and then you get Sparty. Listen, you can search for 4 wins. You can search for a lot of coin flip games at first glance right now as we talk in February while winter conditioning's going on before we see anything we like or freak us out during spring football. You just pray that if you're Nebraska, you get uninterrupted development. You're getting that with strength in winter conditioning now. Guys are working out. They're working hard. Great. You need the padded development that you get with spring football. That did not happen last year. That's part of the reason. Again, identity's paramount for this offense. You kind of know what you got back defensively. You can maybe get a little bit more advanced defensively or just keep doing what you're doing and be better against Illinois next season. To me, you break this thing down into quadrants: Illinois, Buffalo, OU, Sparty. Do you go 3-1, 2-2? At best, at worst, you got to go 2-2 because you got to get to a bowl game next year. You need to not go, dare I say it, 4 years and counting without a bowl appearance when everyone gets to go bowling. The schedule's not easy. I mean, let's be honest. You have Michigan added to this. So your crossovers are Ohio State and Michigan, and you're on the road at Wisconsin. That sucks. But it's time to kind of put your big boy pants on and win some of these big-time matchups. That's why you were allowed into the Big Ten. And with the defense coming back, you feel okay about the offensive line. That's what Scott Frost touched on. Derek Peterson had a nice question to Frosty about the offensive line. They should be a group you can truly lead on this year. Should. And then maybe you've got some guys that emerge at running back. Maybe you get some development at wide receiver. Maybe you get a quarterback set up where Adrian plays well, he plays healthy, and he plays pretty mistake, i.e. turnover free. It can be okay for Nebraska. And if they do get to 7 wins, which would be an incredible feat with this schedule, I think you'd take it. But if you get to 7 wins, that means you're not dropping a game to Purdue. That means you're not dropping a game to Southeast Louisiana. And I don't think they would or should, but you just never know. That means you're not dropping a game to Buffalo. That means you're winning on the road against Sparty. That means you're going to beat the nemesis that is Northwestern in Lincoln. How do you hook up against Michigan? How do you hook up against Ohio State? So the good thing here, too, is you are not getting Oklahoma and Ohio State so close together. You'll get a pretty good measuring stick of what your defense can do and what your offense is going to be like against Oklahoma early in the year, right? 3rd game of the year. Where do you go from there? What's that contest end up being like? How do you bounce back with another road game, consecutive road games against Michigan State? And then by the time you get to November, You need to be playing great football. You need to be healthy. You need to be maximizing the recruiting classes you've been stacking up, and you need a nice finish, right? Bill Callahan said it, and before you throw things at your radio, a lot of things Bill Callahan said and did that you disagreed with, but he was right on about remembering November, right? I mean, because how do you close the year? That used to be a strength of Nebraska football, and can you close out the right way with Ohio State, with Wisconsin, with Iowa? That's a finish. That is a absolute close, but it's the same type of close other teams in your league have been doing. The close for Minnesota during their 11-2 season was not nice for them. That's where they lost their 2 games, 2 out of 3 before they won their bowl game. As good a season as they had, you're gonna limp to the finish line in the league. Even Ohio State isn't as ready to rock by November because they're playing really tough teams consecutively. That's the hallmark of an impressive team. How do you navigate that tough start? How ready are you? How much better are you by the end of the year when you're going to be going up against super physical, highly ranked, really talented football teams, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Iowa, with Southeastern Louisiana squeezed in there? As you look at it on paper, you finish out 0-3 in November. No one's happy. Can you go 1-2? Can you, dare I say it, go 2-1? Hell, 3-0 would be great. People would be partying, you'd be off to a bowl game, and the narrative and mood would change incredibly. But that's a long time away. If I'm a Nebraska fan, get me a good start, play well against Oklahoma, beat Buffalo, go drink a Guinness in Ireland, and then finish November with a way to beat Iowa, figure out a way to get in against Wisconsin, and see where you're at against really an Ohio State team that will be loaded, be good, but also be dealing with a new quarterback and a new secondary and a new defense. So we're in February talking about Nebraska's schedule, but it's released. Changes are positive. You have Iowa for Black Friday. You are spacing out Oklahoma and Ohio State. That's okay with me. 2 measuring stick games, one at the beginning of the year, and then you really got 2 measuring stick games for your own division, and then the big picture, the national ranking measure stick game, Ohio State, because you know Ohio State's going to be your favorite to go to the playoff again out of the Big Ten theoretically.
I'm going to come into this with the glass half full take, because I'm looking at this schedule, and obviously the Big Ten schedule is brutal, but we're playing in the Big Ten now. This is what we knew we were going to be getting ourselves into when we joined the Big Ten. It's going to be a grind every single time we get into the conference slate. So I'm going to look at the non-conference games, and I'm going to count Illinois kind of because it's early in the season into that, because Illinois, new coach, they're going to have one less week to prepare than they usually would because they're playing in that week 0. Nebraska should win that game, and I think it's going to be probably the biggest loss in the Frost era if he were to lose that game. You've got
worse than last year's Illinois ball game?
Well, this is an Illinois team with a new head coach. They're bringing in new schemes, and they're having one less week of their fall camp to practice. If Nebraska can't get that win, I am going to be so disappointed in Scott Frost and the Nebraska team as a whole, just because of the situation at Illinois.
Nebraska could be very easily 0-3 against the Illini.
Very easily.
Right? I mean, you had last year where they bludgeoned you. Turnovers helped, obviously. And then you eked out a win in Champaign, and then they turned it over, and you outscored them in 18.
I mean, but so if Nebraska isn't looking at that week 0 matchup circled already, saying these guys embarrassed us at home last year, I don't know what to tell the Nebraska football program. But then you come off that, and you're going to have your learning lessons in the bye week. You can take your lessons, and then that's before you go to Buffalo, who should be a step up from Illinois, to be 100% honest with you.
Sure. They're losing their running back. We'll see what they are at quarterback, but they got a damn good coach in Coach Leipold.
He's going to have those guys ready to play. So you get to step up to Buffalo, and that's kind of the test for yourself. How good are we this year? We're going to play Buffalo. And then after that, could be 1-1, could be 2-0. I hope to God they're not 0-2. Then you get Oklahoma, and that's kind of your... We'll see how good we are against the top teams in the country.
I'll say this. I don't like playing Buffalo, and I don't like playing Buffalo the week before you're looking ahead to Oklahoma, honestly. I mean, you want to talk about maturity and focus, which you should have with the number of seniors and six-year guys coming back. You should be able to handle Buffalo before Oklahoma, but I don't like where it's sandwiched, period, because you're asking 18 to 22-year-olds. I mean, it's not good in the NFL some weeks where, in case in point, you look at Vegas' schedule this year, right? I mean, Vegas had some really up and down performance. Just as an example, they were circling Kansas City trying to sweep the Chiefs, and they had some really uneven performances leading up to that game. It happens. It happens in sports where you're more excited to play somebody and you're not paying attention to what's on your plate, and it could be difficult. I love the fact that Nebraska gets Michigan. I love the fact Nebraska gets Michigan in Lincoln for the first time since 2012. I mean, Nebraska's gone to Ann Arbor a handful of times. Randy Gregory planted his flag there in 2013. Nebraska knocked out Shoelaces in the 2012 game, really stymied a decent Michigan team. But hey, let's see how you do against the big boys. You get a bit of a break with the reconfiguration. I love the non-conference setup for the Big Ten. We'll get more into that.
Yeah, I love non-conference game in November. Finally, the SEC's always had that advantage. Now we get that.
Well, the Power 5 non-conference matchups in the Big Ten, pretty good showcase. Ron Brown is next. We'll sit down with the coach, kind of go over some things with Ron Brown next on Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Excited to talk some football. We say hi to a longtime Husker assistant and a guy that we used to call basketball together. We say hi to Ron Brown. Coach, you missed some hoops? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, hoops is different these days as well, but I get to watch a little bit here and there, but I do miss the broadcasting with you, Schmitty. You had the classic voice and the classic play-by-play, and I was a rookie trying to keep up, man. That's all I was trying to do.
All I'm going to say is your back hurt. Your back hurt from carrying me, man, for one of those championship Saturdays, 6 straight games. That was a good time.
That's right, man. That's right.
I got to ask, so are we going pizza, wings, Italian beef, Chinese? What is on the menu for the Super Bowl?
Man, for me, it's whatever my dear wife wants to make at that particular time. I don't think I'm going to order out, but I may bring some baked lays, ruffles, or something like that. A little snack food like that to go along with it.
All right, so you're into chips, and I've kind of pulled the guests this week, and I've got a buddy that's doing kind of a Korean pulled pork. I am going to probably do the air fryer chicken wings because I've perfected that.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, probably some pizza. I'm probably thinking some pizza too.
Wow, that's like running into an 8-man front there, boy. That's a lot of beef right there, boy.
Well, I will need to get a workout plan stat. So let's start with some Super Bowl, and you've had a lot of experiences in your career with so many players and coaches and all different levels between Mark Donovan that you can get into a little bit, but also the Nebraska, impact with this Tampa squad is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it really is. Starting with Jason Light.
Yeah.
Jason, of course, was one of our offensive linemen here back in the day, and I've talked to Jason a few times over the years, and what a phenomenal job of putting together the right kind of players. And, boy, a GM's job never seems to end, Schmitty, because that's not only who you draft, like a Levante David or Khalil Davis, but it's also being able to get an acquisition like Ndamukong Suh, and to go along with it. So hats off to him, and of course Kansas City has a phenomenal operation, and the president of the Kansas City Chiefs is one of my former players. When I coached at Brown University in the Ivy League, I was a 25-year-old back in the day, 25-year-old head freshman coach at Brown, and my quarterback was Mark Donovan, who's now the president of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm kind of rooting for everybody in this game,
No, I would imagine the connections you have, and let's see if it's a great ball game. And, you were on staff at Nebraska. What do you remember about Levante in Lincoln? Also, what do you remember about Sue?
Well, two great players, difference makers. Levante was a very quiet young man, very unassuming. You never really knew he was around until the lights went on and for practice or a game, because he just didn't say a whole lot, but was a very diligent guy, very modest, but tenacious player, difference maker, outstanding player. I've always remembered, he had a lot of highlights, but I do remember the 2011 game against Ohio State here, rainy night. They're up by 3 touchdowns. Levante David causes a fumble, I believe, in that game that turns the game around. Rex Burkhead has a great second half, but what a comeback, one of the greatest comebacks we've had here. And we beat a Braxton Miller led team. Braxton got hurt. That wasn't a very much of an advantage for Ohio State either. But all said, Levante had a great career and is having a great career in the National Football League. Happy for Khalil being drafted there. And, of course, Ndamukong was a phenomenal player. The best defensive lineman, arguably, that college football's ever seen. And he's had an outstanding pro career as well. So happy for Big Sue for, his career, and he has an opportunity to play here in another Super Bowl.
Ron Brown's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Ron, when we look at what's going on in college football and just the roster management that is required, signing day, the second part of it just wrapped up this week, and when it comes to the portal, how big of a juggling act is it for a head coach in college football, staff in college football, with this ability for kids to leave and not lose a season?
Yeah, it's really tough. It's tough sledding. It's tough stuff. Schmitty, there were 1,500 kids, I believe, close to about 1,500 kids in the transfer portal this year. It's just open season. It is anytime you make it easy to transfer when things aren't going exactly the way maybe a kid wants it to go, or the grass might be, in his mind, greener somewhere else, you open up a Pandora's box. And, there are a lot of mixed reactions to it. There are probably some legitimate reasons for transfer, but there's also a lot of really washouts in that as well. There's a lot of guys that slide backwards in the transfer portal. In fact, many of them do. Now, you see the Joe Burrow story, and so you go, well, there's a guy who did it and was a Heisman Trophy winner. But that's probably much, much more probably the exception to the rule. So you got to be careful. I think there used to be a good old-fashioned mentality of try harder. If you went down the depth chart, go ahead and see if you can climb back up, or battle through things, or not only accept your role, but maximize that role, whatever that is. But today, Schmitty, it starts even when it's young, way back in the middle school and all of the junior leagues coming up. People are transferring from one team to the next. I need to be used better. I need this better. I need that better. High school coaches are pulling their hair out because they'll have a completely different team almost every year now. There are some high school kids that are transferring to 4 different high schools. They're in 4 different high schools in their career because they're looking for that special moment. So it's a massive, massive thing. No one has been able to stop it. There is no magic touch that anybody has to keep guys from transferring. And particularly, when you get schools like our school, Nebraska, and you get other schools, particularly out in the Midwest, who are not only recruiting kids in the greater 500-mile radius, but they're also recruiting kids on the coast, both coasts and the South as well. I mean, recruiting is like 3-point shots. And when you hit them, okay, it's good, but the idea to keep them there now is much tougher because of the transfer portal. So I'll tell you what, man, and you know what, Schmitty, I would say, honestly, that it's a reflection of the culture at large. Mm-hmm. It's much easier to lose relationships. I mean, we have, and look, I don't want to get over dramatic in it, but we live in a world where fatherlessness has increased, so people are not with responsibilities. Like we used to have back in the day. Marriages break up very easily. People are in transit all the time. Job turnover. We see coaches hired and fired faster than a lamb can shake its tail. I mean, it's almost like every couple of years in a lot of schools where there's a new coach, there are some position coaches, where you'll have in a kid's career, 5 years, let's say if he stays at a university and he redshirts a year and he's got these 4 years, he may have 5 different position coaches. And so it's kind of like open season in the transfer world, not only for these young college athletes, but our whole American culture seems to be that way.
Ron Brown's with us on Hail Varsity Radio. Yeah, kids want stability, coaches want stability. The world at large would like stability, and there's no way to unring the bell with the transfer option. So what's the best way to adapt to it?
Well, you have to be light on your feet, but I think the one thing you've got to guard against is trying to fit every single kid into that peg. You need to develop the shape of your peg, and you need to develop the kid to the best of your ability to fit that shape. But you can't keep changing your foundation as a team, as a staff. You can't keep trying to make everything fit that particular kid, because you're going to have mass chaos. I mean, listen, there are just some house rules. There are some standards. There are some landmarks. There's a foundation that every great corporation, every great team, every great family, every great church, every great institution ought to have. And to some degree, people need to bend and fit and match that, which is the case. Give you a case in point. Mm-hmm. So if there's a kid from the state of Florida who plays at the University of Florida, and then he gets drafted by the Green Bay Packers, what are you going to do? You're going to just say, well, I'm not going to the Packers because it's too cold there.
Got to buy some long johns, man.
Yeah, I mean, you have to adapt. It's not going to be, everything's not going to be just sunny and 70 for you throughout your life. And that's part of greatness. One of the things, there was one young man, I won't mention his name, who was about to transfer here, and he said, Coach Brown, what do you think? What do you think I should do? And I looked at him and I said, look out the window there. And I pointed to the statue of Tom Osborne and Brooke Berringer. And I said, you see that guy next to Tom Osborne? He said, yes, sir. I said, that was a backup quarterback. He's on a statue. He was a backup quarterback that could have transferred. But you know what? He battled through things that most people don't battle through. And he not only did he battle through things, he got a chance, took incredible advantage of that chance, helped lead us to a national championship, but then had to go through the difficulty of being a backup player again. And yet he battled through that and became one of the greatest team players we ever have seen here, and one of the most influential guys that's ever been in this state, Brooke Berringer. And they have a statue of that man. And what a great example of perseverance, endurance, following through with a commitment. We just don't see much more of that these days, Schmitty.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, Hail Varsity Radio. More with Longtime Nebraska assistant Ron Brown. Coach, topic of criticism's been something we've spent time on. Kind of take me through how, in your world, you've been able to navigate that.
Some of the criticism is very just and deserved, and some of the criticism is not. And that's usually the case in most people's lives. And listen, I think we've moved into a culture more so where we can't handle any more criticism. And I don't think that's very realistic to expect that, and I think it's very damaging. If you're constantly running away from criticism, you're always on the move, you're scooting, you're concerned about what people are saying about you in social media. Look, here's the deal, man. If you're going to be criticized for doing right things. And what I mean by doing right things, it doesn't mean that every move you make will turn into gold. But what it means is that you are foundationally, with a high level of effort and integrity, are doing that which gives you the best God-given chance to succeed at your particular endeavor. And you do it the right way, and you do it in a way that when critique comes unfairly, you can look it square in the face and say, you know what, thank you, I appreciate that, but you know what, I'm going to push right on through that. You keep your eye on the ball, and you keep moving forward. If your head is constantly on a swivel with the next criticism or even the next compliment that you're constantly looking for, you're going to be a guy that misses the ball because your head has to remain still and your eyes need to remain fixed. So yes, is there adjustment? Is there plans for improvement? Is there a need for all that? Absolutely. But I really believe that criticism, sometimes that friction turns into traction. And oftentimes people allow criticism to do something good. Number one, you get into some examination of yourself and to see if there be anything in me that isn't quite right. It's good to look inside and take inventory on a regular basis. But on the next realm, Schmitty, you've got to make a decision, and you can't live for the masses and the crowds and the next voice that screams bloody murder at you because you didn't win enough games. And I learned that from Tom Osborne. Coaching for Coach Osborne those 11 years in 1990, we were. I just always remember coming back to the office after the holiday break there, after the Citrus Bowl. We lost to Georgia Tech. They won a national championship. They tied Colorado. We lost to both of those teams, and we lost 3 out of our last 4 games. And it seemed like everybody was down on us. People wanted us out. And we finished 24th in the nation, 9-3, which is really a good year, but not a great year for us in comparison to where we had been. So what Coach Osborne said is, guys, and he was being gracious about it. He said, if you guys can get another job, the people aren't very happy with us here, we may be fired. So maybe you ought to look. And, nobody wanted to leave, and he was just being a gracious man. He wasn't saying, hey, you got to stay with me on this thing. But I really appreciated his humility, and nobody left. And right after that, Schmitty, right before that 91 season is where we instituted the Unity Council, where we started to take great accountability over the program. We had a lot of little empires. We had the strength department, which was outstanding. We had a great training staff. We had a well-known football staff. Our recruiting was, had been always good. But you know what, Schmitty, we got divided a little bit. We weren't all on the same page. We needed more accountability. We got a little slack and a little bit, we had a little bit of too much of a swag, too much of an ego, thinking that it's Nebraska, so it's all automatic. Coach Osborne, humbly and again I admire the man so much because he dug down deep. He searched deep. What do we need to do to really look under the hood and fix that which was causing the car to smoke? And he did. He started tweaking things, but it wasn't like any major things. It was just bringing us together, and a lot of it was just basic foundational attitudinal things: love for one another, staying on the same page with one another, communication, getting our players more involved in leadership and accountability. And I'll tell you what. that 91 season, it didn't seem like it changed a whole lot. We tied Colorado for the Big 8 championship. We got killed by Miami in the Orange Bowl again. And then the next year in 92, we came back to win the Big 8 title. We played Florida State in the Orange Bowl, and we lost like 28-14, I think it was. So we were getting better. You could see something was happening. And then in 93, we went undefeated through the whole season. We lost to Florida State in the national championship game, a game that we could have won. We had some tough things go against us that day, but you could see we were a different team. And then, of course, 94, 95, 96, we came close to winning a third straight national championship. 97, we came back and tied Michigan for the national championship. And I look at all of that, Schmitty, and I say, well, what turned the tide there? It was a combination of things that took place, particularly that culminated from the 1990 season. If you had fired Tom Osborne then, like a lot of schools are doing these days with coaches, when they fall into these situations, you would have never gotten what you eventually got, which was arguably one of the greatest runs in college football history. So I think probably 75%, in my opinion, probably like 75% of the coaches in this country have been fired maybe before it's time. And now every time you fire a coach, you have to now reinvest and dig a new foundation, and it takes that much longer to get it back up again in most cases.
What was going through your mind? Because you guys were cranking out top 10, top 12 every year. The 90s run was kind of the predecessor to what Bama's doing now.
Yeah, but you see that was the whole thing. Mm-hmm. You can never win it. See, Schmitty, when we were 10-2 and 9-3 and all of that, people were saying, wow, people around the country might say, wow, that's pretty good. Nebraska's pretty good. But the people in Nebraska were like, wait a minute. We want a national championship. We want what Barry Switzer got at Oklahoma. We want what those teams are doing. Mm-hmm. It's all relative. And quite frankly, and Nick Saban may even feel this, he's won 7 national championships as a head coach, but he may feel like you can't win enough. Michael Jordan might think, I've won 6 NBA titles, but that wasn't enough. Listen, you can never make enough money. You can never have enough national titles, because every situation there's going to be a relative appeal where somebody's going to say, yeah, but we should be this, we should be that. I mean, people today would love to have the records that we had back in the day, where we were winning 9 games. People would give anything to see us win 9 games this next year. And we would love to see us win 9 games this year. But there was a time when 9 games wasn't enough. So, Schmitty, how do you play that game? You can't. You can't play that game. That's just the whole point. Mm-hmm. You have to define success differently than just how you compare from one season to the next and so forth. It's about maximization of your talent each year, and it's about making sure that you're doing things right to the best of your ability. And you have to live with the criticism. You have to live with the compliments. You have to be obviously resilient in criticism. We have to be gracious and humble in compliments and in prosperity. And we have to keep, putting our nose to the grindstone and staying very, very character-based. That making sure that this program is always going to be at a top level in terms of character, integrity, work ethic, and maximization of the abilities that we get.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Ron Brown's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Coach, this was an incredible sit-down. I can't thank you enough for making the time that you do for me, and I just love talking ball with you and getting your perspective on things.
Well, I thank you, Schmitty, and I just, I want to say, and I say that authentically. Yeah, I'm a fan of Nebraska. I love Nebraska. I'm a fan of Scott Frost. I love him. I mean, I remember him as a player in the relationship that we had, and I've seen him develop into a coach, and obviously tremendous talent, one of the greatest pedigrees of all. But he inherited a very difficult situation. he inherited our situation here in Nebraska, something that was very, very different from what it had been in the past with Devaney, Osborne, and Solich. That was a very different deal. Now you got quick changes, and now it's a deeper hole than ever. But so I'm asking the fans obviously to have patience with us and Coach Frost, but we're also saying, you know what, we're also big boys here, and so we've got to be able to handle the criticism that comes. But the most important thing is that we keep our eye on the ball and maximize our God-given talent. So thanks for having me on, though. I always enjoy coming on with you.
Well, always love chatting with you. So
yeah, who are you rooting for in the game? Who's your guy for the Super Bowl?
My heart says probably Tampa, but my head says Kansas City. So that's not an answer for you. But I'm going to say Tampa 31-28.
Good. Well, it's okay to be a fan and not a prophet, buddy. I think it's probably a lot easier to be a fan than a prophet. Trying to figure out who's going to win isn't always easy.
I got you. Coach,
but rooting for your favorite team, that's easy.
No, that'll be good. Coach, we'll do this again. Thank you so much.
All right, Schmitty. God bless. Thank you.
Ron Brown, long sit down with him, a lot of this first hour, and a lot of things unpacked there when it comes to the portal, when it comes to players, and also just the expectation, and you know what, the standard, the criticism, navigating through all of it, and the ability to kind of keep grinding forward is what Nebraska is going to try and do for 2021. So that'll be posted on the on-demand section, the entire interview with Coach Brown. And that is going to be up, if not already, very shortly. Elijah will make that happen, ESPNLincoln.com. Also, we'll have it posted on the podcast with Hail Varsity, and get that with Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and HurrdatMedia.com. The Hurrdat platform's phenomenal for podcasts. And subscribe, give us a rating, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the podcast and the show. So welcome to that criticism or that compliment, wherever you want to go with it. Bill Doleman's on the way, the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports coming up, and Eric Warfield. He'll break the Super Bowl down with us. Kind of let the cat out of the bag when Coach asked me my prediction, where I'm at. Elijah Herbal will have that steak and a beer bet in 1 hour, a little less than 1 hour, and we will have to make it count for sure. I'm on a bit of a run, if I must say so. Every time I open my mouth and say I'm on a bit of a run, that's when Elijah jumps up and kneecaps me.
Yep.
and takes one down. So
you sounded a little too confident there.
I just have a weird feeling, and I'm probably way off. It's probably not that hard. I know Coach Jim Hanson's weighed in with his prediction, so we'll get that out there. Bill Doleman's on the way. He'll have some comments on the week that's been with Nebraska football, some NFL. Hail Varsity Hour 2 were presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmitz_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmitz.
Thanks for spending time. Hour 2 at Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Really awesome sit down, almost all of Hour 1 with Ron Brown on Nebraska football. We welcome in the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. Bill Doleman with us, at Bill Doleman on Twitter. Billy D, you ready for the Super Bowl this weekend? How you doing, man?
I've actually kind of forgotten about the Super Bowl because, like most folks, I'm looking forward to the World Biathlon and the World Nordic Championships coming up over the next 4 weeks in Pokljuka, Slovenia, and Oberstdorf, Germany. So the Super Bowl is kind of secondary. Plus, let's not forget the Great American Race coming up, the Daytona 500 in a week and a half. So those are really where my focuses are, like most people.
I get that. And Germany's kind of my hood. At least it used to be several hundred years ago. So I get your thing. So I need to know where Bill Doleman was last weekend into early this week, as you are not only a fantastic endorsement guy and male model and pitchman, but rumor has it that Jeep did a shoot in Hastings with Bruce Springsteen. Was Bill Doleman shooting a mattress commercial, or was Bill Doleman part of this setup with Jeep? Because it wasn't that long ago you were in Leadville, Colorado, doing a shoot for Jeep.
Are you talking about the visit by Bryce Saperstein?
Yes.
As Don Bryant famously once called him several years back.
Tell me that story.
That goes back a ways, but it was Springsteen was doing a concert in Lincoln, and people have been waiting for it for 100 years. And Don was in the sports information office, and he had an office down at the Devaney Center. And so he had to go down there, and people were waiting for tickets or something. I think they were either waiting to get in or they were waiting to buy tickets, one of the two. And Fox went down to the Devaney Center to go to his office there, but couldn't get there because of all of the Springsteen fans. And he comes back in to the sports info office at the stadium, an hour later or something like that. And somebody said, "Well, Fox, what are you doing back so soon?" He goes, "That dadgum Bryce Saperstein concert. You can't get to the Devaney Center."
I thought this was code name for Bill Doleman to go pick up some guy named Springsteen from the airport.
No, that would have been running an errand for a Devaney down the N Street, but that's another story. But when I read the Saperstein and Hastings story, it reminded me of about 100 years ago, and only in Lincoln, Nebraska, would it be a big story that it was in the Journal Star that I think Art Garfunkel spent the night in Lincoln one day, and somebody spotted him wandering. I don't know if wandering is the right word, but he was walking down O Street, by what would it have been? I don't remember the hotels that were around 30 years ago, but it was a big story in Lincoln that Art Garfunkel spent the night at the downtown Hilton or a Holiday Inn or whatever it is these days, and somebody saw him. And I'm thinking, in Lincoln, that's a big story, and maybe nowhere else.
Did you ever kick it with Harrison Ford when he had his plane repaired here?
At least they didn't crash it there.
No, I know.
No, that didn't happen. So. Okay,
I'm just you're a high roller, brother, and between Springsteen and Art Garfunkel, Harrison Ford, your sit down with spoken word master
Henry Rollins.
I mean, it's so. Yes or no? Are you just gonna are you pulling Omerta on me here with the Springsteen rendezvous this week?
Well, I thought it was something that he flew into Hastings and then went down to Kansas for some reason. It all just seemed kind of odd. But if he was there, great. I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, or maybe he's just doing a live acoustic set, reliving the Nebraska album. I don't know. So
right.
Okay, so let's dive in. I know you've kept your ear to Nebraska football. Did you get a chance to dive much into Frost's presser yesterday?
Not much. At this point, I'm kind of wondering why is he bothering? I get that there maybe is an attempt to be transparent and keep people abreast of what's going on with Nebraska football, and don't panic because some kid from Omaha decided to go to Oregon, and who's going to be the director of player personnel, and which to me seems like a very odd position to be having in college football special teams. So I appreciate that Scott is meeting the masses in some way, shape, or another, and I watched a little of it, and there was a lot of it kind of an inch deep and a mile wide. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of depth to it. I think it was just kind of a, hey, I'm calling to say hi. It was the text message of press conferences. So I appreciate the effort, but at this point, are we really going to know anything? Are they really going to be able to tell us anything? I think at this point, we're in just kind of a wait and see, deal with college football. There was no news out of the second signing day other than, look, Alabama got a lot of great players again. Okay, we got it. Is it disappointing the kid went to Oregon? Sure. But at this point, I don't think there's really a whole lot new with Nebraska football that he really needs to address. But I guess I appreciate the effort.
What's your take on his reaction to criticism? And we played Sam's question and answer about it, and most of us hate criticism. We're human, and there's different jobs where you got to be able to deal with criticism. And there's been a more of an effort with just media interactions with him, not only pressers but radio hits or newspaper sit-downs or what have you, right? So I mean, he's trying to be out in front and be admissible, which is fine. But just overall, when he's asked about criticism, I mean, he's got an elephant's memory, is my point. He'll remember everything, and I think can use it or may use it for fuel. But bottom line is this: you got a reconfigured schedule that still has Ohio State, still has Oklahoma, still has Michigan, and I don't think folks are 12-20 is one thing, and a lot of one-score losses are another thing. But it's how you're losing them that is fueling the criticism.
Well, I guess it kind of goes back to I didn't see that part of the press conference. I guess it goes back to at least he's out there and trying to get out front and meet the media and not hide behind a record and not talk to the press and talk to the fans in some way, shape, or another. So I mean, good on him for that. When I think about the criticism that he has endured, you almost have to go back to his playing days and even go back to his days at Wood River. When Scott decided to go to Stanford, out of high school, all of a sudden the critics were out. And then when he decided to come back, the critics were out. And then when they lost 19-0 at Arizona State, the critics were out. And, really at that time, as I recall, other than he had his teammates, he had the coaching staff, but it was really, it seemed to me that was, he had Tom, to lean on and to cover for him, as much as, Tom's going to cover for the starting quarterback at a school like Nebraska, and then Scott ended up, leading Nebraska to the national championship and all seems, right in the world. And then for 20 years, it's, we can't wait for Scott to come back and be the coach. And then he, everybody in college football universally said when he got the gig a couple of years ago, this is the perfect hire. And it's the one that made the most sense. And it was, perfect for Nebraska football and all of that. And then things don't go well. And all of a sudden the knives are out again. So it is not. It's always, I guess, been kind of an uneasy. It's hard to say. It's such an interesting way to look at the relationship. It's been kind of an uneasy yet comfortable relationship with Scott Frost and Nebraska. He's a native son, but when he made the decision to go play for Bill Walsh, with not a lot of people would have said, "Well, that's a dumb thing to do," but he did it, and so there's always been kind of an uphill, to it. Not the natural fit that I think people would feel like the relationship is had he gone directly to Lincoln out of Wood River. So, but when he came back, the expectations were so high, but so universally accepted, and things just haven't gone right. So it's an interesting time, and I think right now Scott would probably wish that they had a season to play right now.
Right. So
that they could get 2 or 3 wins, and things in a row, and things might start to show optimism. But instead, you've got, a couple of months to wait for spring ball, and then you've got an entire summer, and we got to wait till August. And we don't even know where we're going to play in August, I guess. So I think he's doing the best he can to stay out in front before things slip too far down the hill. And like I said, it's always been kind of uphill. And there has been some slippage, and I think he's doing what he can to maintain some sense of traction that he had when he got the job.
Bill Doleman with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Bill, the other news out of today was the Husker football schedule release for next season. That is the conference schedule. We already knew who the non-conference games would be. Did you get a chance to look at the schedule today, and what did you think if you did?
I did not, other than it's my understanding that the game with Iowa is back where it should have been,
It is.
which only brought back to mind how inept Nebraska's leadership has been, prior to Bill Moose, taking over. The decision to say, well, whatever you want us to play and whoever you want us to play at the end of the season, that's fine with us, was just one of the most monumentally stupid and out-of-touch decisions that I can remember, anybody in leadership at Nebraska making. That just made zero sense. And we're talking about some major, colossal breakdowns in leadership over the last 20 years, other than when Tom was there. But it just seems so out of touch for Sean Eichhorst to make that, to allow that decision to be made. And when Bill Moose was saying we need that game to get back, I mean, that to me was, showing that that he knew how important it was for Nebraska to play on that stage Friday afternoon when you've got everybody watching. And so I was glad to see that. And I thought the Big Ten owed it to Nebraska. It was something that Bill Moose said that we wanted to have. And given the fact that it was Nebraska that was out front to get a Big Ten season going and to, even put Ohio State in position to play for a national championship, it was kind of like, well, that's the least you people in Chicago could do for us, is to give us, back a stage, whether we win the game or not. Okay, and eventually that's all going to turn around, and Nebraska is going to start putting Iowa in their place. But I thought it was really important that Nebraska get that Friday afternoon slot when people are watching college football. I mean, that's a tradition that goes back, to the great days of the Oklahoma rivalry, and to regain some semblance of that tradition, I think was very, very important for Nebraska to regain, some footing on the college football landscape. And so I was glad to see that.
Bill, I don't know if you've had the chance to wear Nebraska red around Iowa City, but let me tell you what, you don't get great reactions when you go out there. And I think that means that those Iowa fans care about this rivalry with Nebraska, this Black Friday rivalry. Do you think that this rivalry is at a place, or could soon be at a place where it's as big as the Colorado game? Where
they got to start winning, game? Brother. They can't go 0-6. They got to start winning. Talk rivalry, right, Bill?
Well, that's a generational conversation, because I sincerely don't believe, and I may be the only person that says this, that Colorado thing was not a rivalry. It was ginned up by the Big 12, in hopes, because Bill McCartney said that this is a rivalry. And I can remember, those days with Tom going, I don't quite get this, but okay, we'll play you whenever, and however you guys feel about us, that's fine. We're still 25-5-1 over 30 years against you guys, but whatever. The importance of that date for Nebraska football was the rivalry with Oklahoma. Colorado never was going to measure up to the rivalry with Oklahoma, and I don't necessarily think Iowa is ever going to match up to the rivalry with Oklahoma. But to me, it's a much more natural thing for Nebraska and those guys to have a rivalry than Nebraska and Colorado. Again, that was ginned up by the Big 12, and the Big 12 said, you guys are going to be rivals. And I never, ever thought that we bought into it the way, we were just going to say, okay, we're not rivals with Oklahoma anymore. Well, Colorado's it. It just never happened. It has never felt like a natural, Ohio State, Michigan rivalry, Texas-Oklahoma rivalry, BYU-Utah, which is all about hate. That's a rivalry. That just never felt that way. It just felt manufactured, Bill, like an arranged marriage, and that just didn't work. I think Iowa and Nebraska is much more natural, and over time, as Nebraska wins, it'll become much more of a traditional thing, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to take Nebraska wins.
20 seconds, Billy D. Who wins, Kansas City or Tampa?
Well, I think I really think it's Tom Brady's year. Look, Patrick Mahomes has already won a Super Bowl recently, don't you? And I think it's best that that somebody else gets in there and gets a chance. So I'd love to see Tom Brady come back and regain some of his former glory years. I also think that Tom Brady is going to make a Hall of Famer out of Levante David finally, who I think is the best linebacker in the NFL. And he's finally getting the attention that he deserves. I think Ndamukong Suh, puts a stamp on his great career. But I'd love to see, Patrick Mahomes step aside and let somebody else have a chance to win for a quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And I think the Huskers lead Tampa Bay to the win on Sunday.
Gotta love it. Bill Doleman, Pride of Fairbury. Billy D, we'll talk next Friday. Thank you.
All right, go Big Red.
And we're back.
Fellas, you think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Back with you, and it's Super Bowl week continued. We checked in with a lot of Chiefs and a lot of guys who played in the Super Bowl. A unique situation here when we talked to Eric Warfield, longtime Kansas City Chief, standout Husker national champion multiple times over. Also, Eric, you spent time on the Patriots, man. How are you feeling about this weekend? Thanks for the time.
I don't think there's much loyalty that goes towards that. Well, I don't want to say it in a bad way.
Sure.
There wasn't much time for me to put the care and concern into what happens with the Patriots. Although having worn the uniform, having gotten a few dollars from them, I've rooted for them over the years. But my loyalty lies within that red and gold over in Kansas City.
So last year we talked. You were heading down, man. You were so excited about a Super Bowl trip. Now, I think there's going to be more cutouts than people at the old sombrero. Are you taking a second crack at a Super Bowl run, or are you just going to be grilling and golfing before kickoff?
So this year, I won't have the disappointment of being let down on the ticket or overcharged. Opportunity had kind of presented itself, but due to COVID rules and the NFL only allowing so many fans, ticket sales, I'm just going to, play it safe and stay here at home and enjoy it from my couch. Or I have a couple of friends that are coming. Actually, Neil Smith is coming down. I'll be watching it with him.
That's awesome. Neil Smith, great Husker, won 2 championships with, dare I say, the D word. But, Kansas City Hall of Famer, obviously over 100 career sacks. I got to ask you this. How the hell's Roger Craig and Neil Smith not in the Hall of Fame yet?
There's quite a few names that have popped up, and those two guys have had tremendous careers and won Super Bowls and have the stats to back their way into the Hall of Fame. But for whatever reason, the Hall of Fame in the NFL doesn't see it that way. But yeah, both of them, and especially coming from my alma mater, you would think that. I wouldn't say you would think, but I know I would hope that those guys would be in there sooner rather than later. But I don't have a vote in that, so.
It's just interesting. Eric Warfield's with us, standout Husker, longtime Chief, and spent a little bit of time with the New England Patriots here on Hail Varsity Radio. Follow Eric on Twitter. That's EA Warfield 44. That's where you follow Eric on Twitter. So with Kansas City and the Tom Brady factor here with Tampa, that's the quarterbacks are the buzz. I know those are guys you loved making miserable, Warfield. And, take me through a couple of thoughts, I guess, you have here. What are you looking forward to just from a player's perspective here on Sunday here? Brady's the ageless wonder, and Mahomes is a magician.
It'll be fun to watch. It'll be something that the fans can cherish in a moment of youth versus experience. Mm-hmm. And, for whatever is worth, everybody wants to see Tom win to get that seventh ring, whether you're a Brady fan or Tampa Bay fan or not. And on the other side of that, Patrick Mahomes has created such a buzz, and he's gotten so many fans, young and old, all across the U.S. I keep saying that this comparison of him and Steph Curry and how they have branched their careers out. Mm. Because you have Golden State fans everywhere, no matter where you are. Steph Curry fans everywhere, just how he changed the game. And it's kind of the same way with Patrick Mahomes. The guy has changed the game tremendously and in a fun way. You have no idea what to expect when watching him play, but each and every play is an eye-opening experience of what he has in his tool belt. And so, yeah, you have those two that are kind of going at it to where everybody – and it's not like – so throw the Mayweather thing out there. All the hype that comes with Floyd Mayweather, everybody watches because they want to see him get knocked out. It's the same way with what's the notorious guy, the MMA fighter? Conor McGregor. Right. McGregor. Everybody wants to see them lose, so they all tune in. And so now it's like you have these two great individuals that are athletes because there's not – I can't relate a bad story with Tom Brady. I can't relate a bad story with Mahomes. So you have these two great individuals that are great athletes. One has had a tremendous career, and the other has started his out on a great note with an early Super Bowl win, MVPs, and all these statutes that he's living up to. Hard to not be into this game 100% and really not have a dog in the fight. But, as for me as a former player, I'm, like I said, loyal to my team, the Chiefs, but enjoyed watching Tom Brady. I absolutely loved watching his career. And even though we had the upper hand from winning the game this season, you have no idea what to expect. New Orleans Saints went out there and beat them twice this season, but in the game that mattered, Tom Brady steps up. Well, the overall team steps up for Tampa and pulls out the victory when they needed it. So you never know what you're going to get from a Tom Brady-led team. But you also never know what you're going to get from a Patrick Mahomes team, but it will be eye-opening and it will be fun to watch.
It's going to be the world's going to watch, and you do anyway for Super Bowl Sunday. Eric Warfield's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Stand out with the Kansas City Chiefs, 9-year NFL vet, Husker legend, and then all Big 8, Big 12 performer, and national champion. So, Warfield, what was your experience with Brady? What do you remember about your time in New England?
He is dialed in at every part of his career. He does all the necessary things that it takes to be great. He wasn't one of those. So in Kansas City, I wouldn't say just in Kansas City. And the NFL, from stories that you get from your friends, colleagues, about the guys that are that have kind of made a name for themselves. So like we say, Will Shields, Willie Rowe, or the guys that are all pro, that are up there in age, that kind of get the timing off.
Sure.
So they don't have to practice every day because you want their best performance on Sunday. So you give them a day off just so that they don't wear and tear much of what they have going into a game. If they make a mistake, they're usually not gripe that as much as the younger guys.
Sure.
Because they understand that, and the coaches understand that, and they know how to correct those mistakes quickly. But going into New England, Tom Brady made a mistake, and we're sitting there watching film, and he got yelled at by Brady just like any other player, and I was shocked at that. And he responded. He didn't respond with an arrogant response. He knew he made a mistake, and he accepted it, and he goes out the next day. And then we go over it, and it was corrected. And I think Chad Ochocinco mentioned that when he went to New England, how everybody's treated the same. And he was surprised also at how Brady was treated just like another player when he went to that team also. Although he's not just another player. We understand who he is.
Yeah.
But he just accepts that role because he knows where he's at, and he also wants to get better and better and better, no matter how many rings he has. I think he just mentioned that he wants to continue playing after he's 44, after this year. And I think he has what it takes to do so.
Eric Warfield's with us, standout Husker, longtime Chief, and spent some time with New England. That's just it. I think everybody gets some in New England, right? And this has been different for him to go to Tampa, have some influence, kind of be a coach on the field, and his diet and routine have allowed him to really be incredible at this age. So I want to go with the black shirt angle here, and and are a part of that Nebraska fraternity with Sue and Levante and Khalil Davis. Of course, Jason Light's a Nebraska guy from Fremont that's been just tremendous and was able to really do some special things in the front office as GM for Tampa. But you know Sue pretty well. You know Levante pretty well. Your take on what this moment means for them. Sue's going to a second Super Bowl and just turned 34. Levante just turned 31, and he's been like, you know, the Rodney Dangerfield of all pros and linebackers in the NFL because he's amazing. Levante's amazing, but he's kind of just getting noticed nationally. People who know football know Levante, but just from an exposure standpoint, we're talking TV sets. He's been on TV a lot this year, and people are going, "Damn, he's great." Well, he's been great for 9 years. What's this moment mean for those two, in your opinion?
You mentioned that they just had a clip on ESPN of Levante doing a Zoom cast with a couple of guys, and he mentions the excitement that he was going through because they won a playoff game to get them into the Super Bowl. He was all teary-eyed and hugging up players, and Tom Brady caught wind of this, goes over there and is like, "What? Expletus, what the heck are you crying for? We have another game to go win." But Levante was all caught up in the moment of winning his first playoff game. You know, that's big for him. Being a great player on a somewhat decent team, to be in this moment, he was trying to experience, trying to enjoy, trying to embrace it. And all of a sudden, you got this vet, this soldier that's gotten all these rings, accolades, that knows what it takes to get to the next game. He's not excited about winning this game. He's looking forward to the next. And so it's like a difference in emotions there, or of what to expect, because Levante's never been there. And I'm very, very happy for these guys, and especially for Levante, because I was there coaching him when I was with UNL under Coach Pelini. And I know Sue because he was in Lincoln when I first got back there. So, yeah, I'm very happy these guys get to experience. If they win, I'm happy for them. Love to see them with a ring. But first come, first serve, I got to hope that my team wins, and that's who I'm pulling for. I do want those guys to play well, represent themselves, the university, of which they have in a tremendous way. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna play their hearts out. But my bet is going with the Chiefs, though.
Eric Warfield's with us, Hail Varsity Radio at EA Warfield on Twitter is where you follow him. Eric, a couple of minutes left, and it's awesome to get caught up. We'll do this again and talk some spring ball here around the corner. Love to get your take on Nebraska. When it comes down to it, what is going to be the difference on Sunday? Who wins and why? I need the Warfield prediction.
I mean, I think it does. As all the talk, we've talked about two quarterbacks, and I think it really does come down to those two guys.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
More Super Bowl 55 thoughts. Eric Warfield with us here on Hail Varsity Radio, talking Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
As great as Tom Brady's career has been, he's thrown a lot of interceptions within this system in Tampa Bay. And I think we have an opportunity to capitalize on those. And as a matter with us, I think we have a tremendous offense to where it's hard defensively to lock in on one guy. And we have two of those out there that are pretty much unstoppable in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. So if you're going to try to double one, you're going to leave the other to expose you. So with that being said, I think that we have the more complicated, high-powered offense to where we put up the numbers that we need to get this victory.
Eric Warfield's with us, Hail Varsity Radio. Eric, a thought, signing day just happened. What was it? I'm going to go to recruiting here. Who recruited you the hardest, and who did you connect with at Nebraska? I just want to kind of, since we're just a couple of days removed from signing day, how did Nebraska get your services?
So Tony Samuels came.
Oh, wow. Tony, huh?
Yeah, great. That's my dude there. Yeah, I still keep in touch with him. So Tony Samuels came and visited a couple of times. But the thing that sealed the deal was I was having one of my best basketball games as a high school player, and Coach Osborne steps foot in this place, and the whole freaking arena was just bug-eyed, like, oh, he's here. Like, and we kind of got buzzed that he was coming. Mm-hmm. And majority of the people there know who Coach Osborne is, and was like, yeah, he made it. And so he steps on the floor, and I was just floored with excitement that, you know, this mastermind had showed up to watch me and to recruit me. Even though they were big on getting me there, I just never thought that I would see the head guy pop in and watch me play a basketball game.
That's awesome. Did you ever hoop with Osborne?
Nah, I don't think he'd want to do that. I don't think he wants that challenge.
Well, I mean, one-on-one, I'm saying, I mean, Osborne, and I would see him working with his grandson, right? You know, and T.O.'s like this is a couple of years ago, and dude's just cranking out reps on the bench, right? And he's got the towel wrapped around his neck, so you don't want to mess with him. But I'm just saying.
So what's Coach Osborne, 82, 83, somewhere around there?
Yeah, and this is a year and a half ago, and I mean, I didn't bother him. I was just like, well, homeboy's throwing up weight. I mean, he's just crushing it on the curls. I'm like, my God, he kicked my butt. But I just want.
I love to see his workout, his commitment to his workout. He's been doing
forever,
keeping his body in shape since I was there. So, and I love it. You know, he's wanting to extend his life, and that's what he's doing. So, you know, I'm happy for him and his family that he's able to go out there and continue working out like that. I hope I'm able to lift weights and jog around when I'm in my 80s.
I'm just saying, you and him in horse would be something to behold.
I don't know, Chris. I can still shoot a pretty.
No, I know you can. I'm just you're no longer a volume score, right? I mean,
that's true too.
You got the efficiency thing going. Eric Warfield's with us. Eric, we'll do this again, man. Great to chat.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, there's your chief aficionado. He's going all Kansas City, staking a beer bed, forecast time. And without further ado, all right, let's decide on the steak we're going to purchase.
Okay.
Are we going to go filet, New York, ribeye, flat iron, sirloin?
My vote's always
ribeye.
My vote's always a good bone-in ribeye. Got to have the bone in there.
So you say bone-in ribeye.
I know you're a filet guy, though.
Well, I'm going to just say I see your bone-in ribeye, and I raise you a bone-in filet.
All right. If I lose, I can make that work.
I had the most amazing bone-in filet of my life with my dad. We were down to see the Chiefs and Bengals for preseason football a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. It was Zach Taylor's first game as Bengals head coach. So, the line is at 3. Tampa is the dog. Kansas City went nuts the first quarter, week 12. You have Andy Reid after a bye, 26-5. Mahomes averaging 34 a game. Offensively in 7 playoff starts. But you have the left tackle issue. This is Jim Hanson's theory. Old Jimbo's weighed in on the email, chris@hailvarsity.com. And he's kind of relating it back to the last time Tampa won a Super Bowl. Barrett Robbins went MIA. Adam True, the pride of Pius, got the start at center. But you had the Callahan and Gruden situation where Tampa was a really good football team, but it's not like Gruden didn't know what the Raiders' calls were. He had just left. I think the left tackle's an issue. I think that Barrett and Pierre-Paul situation's very real without Fisher. That's Hanson's point in the email. I just think Sue and Levante and Bowles and the Tampa D will learn from week 12. I think that's going to happen. It's going to be between the 20s, and I think Tampa will not try and be too exotic. I think they'll get some things going with their run game. Give me Tampa 31. Give me the Chiefs 28.
You have flipped?
No, I'm still with Tampa.
I thought you went Chiefs with Ron Brown. No.
My head says Kansas City.
Okay.
My heart, from a Nebraska perspective, and how hard, Levante and Sue and all those guys, we've talked to them and we've interviewed them over the years. Guys you root for. Kansas City will be back next year. Give me Tampa to win by 3 outright.
Problem here is I agree with you.
So you think Tampa?
The problem is left tackle. It's Eric Fisher, torn his Achilles. Great left tackle.
Yeah.
Mitchell Schwartz has been out at right tackle for the year, pretty much like week 6.
Well, they have 3 backup linemen, and then you got the Andy Reid kid thing going on. Do you see that? Where that isn't good.
And let's not forget, Patrick Mahomes has been nursing a turf toe in his left foot. He's been struggling to throw the ball to his left.
They're going to roll him out, but how bad? I mean, by now he should be healthy, right?
You would think. It's been an issue he's been dealing with since regular season.
Vea's back, so I don't know that the Chiefs are going to be able to run it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Le'Veon Bell can knock the rust off and isn't dinged, I think he could be big against the Tampa defense. So we don't really have a bet then. Are you going to go Kansas City?
I'll go Tampa, but I can get even more specific, and then we can, after the break, we can do some prop bets.
Okay, so we're flipping this around to prop bets.
I guess we're going to have to.
Because we're both saying Tampa by a field goal.
No, I got Tampa by a touchdown. I got Tampa 34-27 in overtime.
So you think it goes overtime? Wow.
I think because this Chiefs, it's still Patrick Mahomes. He could be knocked or banged up. His offensive line could be all beat to hell.
This is pretty evil to say with all the Chief fans out there, but couldn't you see Sue having an episode and just chasing him down from behind and squishing him?
I could.
So then you got to run out there, Steve DeBerg or Rich Gannon or Elvis Gerbach or whoever the hell the backup quarterback is for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. What this whole game comes down to, though, for me, is I'm not going to bet against Tom Brady in what could be his last Super Bowl. I'm not going to do that. I think Tampa generates a turnover or two. I think it's a close one to the end. I got Tampa 34-27.
You know what could happen? Kansas City be like, 17. We'll put up 28 in the first quarter.
They could.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at HailVarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Okay, over-under here for the stake in the beer bet. Tom Brady, passing yards 301.5. Over-under 301. Write these down.
Let me get some paper.
Okay. There's 7,000 sheets of paper in that studio. 301. You going over under on Brady? I'm going to go under on the 300.
I'm going under as well.
Okay. Mahomes 330. 330.5. Is he over 330? He does that in his sleep.
I'm going over.
Yeah, over as well. Who wins? Tyreek Hill. He had almost 270. When it comes to receiving yards, does he get 150 over under 150 for Tyreek?
Under.
Okay. I think him and Kelsey got to combine for another big day if Kansas City's going to win, and that's obvious. Give me some of the side bets here. So
Wait, what did you want on Tyreek Hill receiving?
I think he's right at 110. So I'm going to go under. Mm-hmm.
So we're in agreement with our first 4 bets.
Okay, just give me the props here that are most attractive.
We got a national anthem length right now is set over under a minute 59.
You got a duet. I'm going to go over.
You're going to go over? I'll go under. I'll flip you on this one.
Okay.
It's coming down to the national anthem. I'll have my phone out with the timer.
I'll have Rob call Eric Church and say Schmidt's got a bet going. Make sure this thing's over.
I'm just thinking
Gatorade color.
Oh, you want to go to Gatorade color already? I could talk about the national anthem all day.
No.
Gatorade color, I'll go yellow, lemon lime.
Okay, I'm going to go with clear.
Water? You going with water?
No, just it's the ice or clear. I'm going to go liquid color is clear.
Okay. I kind of follow you, I think.
Right. I mean, it's clear. It'll look clear.
Yeah. So clear / water.
Something. I don't think it's yellow is the point. I'm gonna go orange.
Odds on favorite is orange, I think.
I'm gonna go with the orange.
Followed up by red, and then below that is lemon lime, and then clear.
Right. We hope it's lemon lime.
Any other ones that I'm forgetting about here? Oh, I like first one is the.
Who do they thank after? Who's the MVP thank?
No.
Teammates, God, or family?
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. But I was going to go with the which comes first, a touchdown or a sack.
I think you're going to get a sack. Absolutely.
I'll disagree with you on that one. I'll go touchdown.
Okay.
I think both.
Who's the MVP?
Plays, and then
is it Brady? Is it Mahomes? Is it going to be Hill? Is it Kelsey? Is it Levante? Is it White? Is it Evans? How about old AB, Antonio Brown?
Levante David.
You gonna go Levante?
I want to, but I probably shouldn't. If I'm gonna be smart, I'm gonna go Tom Brady. I want this take.
I'm gonna go. Give me. You know what? Give me Brady. Give me Brady as the MVP. Why not?
So we'll both go Brady in the MVP. So you want the wrap up here on what we got? The wrap up?
Sure.
We got both of us are under on Brady passing. We're both over on Mahomes passing. Both under on Hill receiving. You're over on the anthem. I'm under on the anthem. You're orange Gatorade bath. I'm yellow Gatorade bath. We're both Brady in the MVP.
Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. weekend with Hail Varsity. See ya.